So you're interested in a Brazilian woman. This video is for anyone in an intercultural relationship. I think it gives people a perspective. You will go through a big character development arc, and it will either make you or break you. Fortunately for me, I gained a lot of wisdom from the situation. I'm trying to pass it to you guys. I'm going to be talking about my intercultural relationship, dating a Brazilian woman as an American, and some things to watch out for, you know? I was in this relationship on and off for about 10 years. And if I had known what I know today in the beginning, then I could have probably made it work. But we just went through so much. There was no way to reconcile the relationship, unfortunately, because I do love her, you know? But it's just too late, you know? So to save a lot of people energy and honestly, be smarter, right? Let's just say I was not very wise. I had my problems and there was problems on her side. I want to give you my experience. I want to give you my advice. If you are dating a Brazilian, but also cross-culturally, I think this can work out for a lot of people. Maybe these tips don't work for you. Maybe you're different, right? But I think this can help a large audience, right? So about 10 years ago, I went to this bar, actually here in Vila Velha, and I met this morena, a very beautiful lady. You know, we hit it off, even though I didn't speak Portuguese. You know, we were just vibing and stuff. She found me attractive, I found her attractive. Basically, the relationship was constructed from that. I'd recommend you don't do that, you know? I understand when we have we think we just need a beautiful woman by our side. We think we need a beautiful woman by our side, but there's a lot more to a relationship. Unfortunately, I was not wise enough to distinguish passion from, you know, romance and love and all this stuff in the beginning. I did end up, you know, falling in love with her, which is one of the morals of the story. If you start to be with somebody, like in this relationship where I didn't speak Portuguese, we weren't really communicating. We didn't have any fights for like a year because we didn't have any disagreements. She was just like, oh, quer comer? Quer comer? And I was like, comida. And then we would have our nighttime stuff going on, and you know, it was very easy. And I was like, man, I could do this all day, bro. You know, I could do this all day, every day. When I caught up with a little bit with my Portuguese, which by the way, it is a good way to learn a language, dating somebody from a different culture that doesn't speak your language. But it's kind of bad because you pick up like female mannerisms, right? So she says, gente. You know, I can't say that, but like I don't know how to distinguish that in the beginning, right? Kind of like that. That's a little bit exaggerated, but you do pick up some mannerisms. Look at that. People up early. I love to see it. Great way to learn a language, but you got to keep in mind, balance it out. Talk to some guys as well if you're a guy. So as I was learning Portuguese, I was getting to know her. And the relationship was getting more and more complicated, you know? And like I said, after the first year was all peace, but into the second year was the fights were starting, the disagreements. There were a lot of disagreements, and honestly, those were my tests for Portuguese because she was pretty bad. She was pretty bad. She would use like my lack of Portuguese against me. If I were to say something that would come off like really bad, but she knew I didn't speak Portuguese well enough to know what I was saying, like on that level, she would take it that way. She used everything against me in the fights, man. It was not good. That forced me to learn Portuguese a lot more, you know? Look at how beautiful it is today, man. There's people already playing in the ocean. I think it's about 5:30 right now. I got up at about 4 this morning. So I don't know why I've been waking up so early. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go out tonight. Today is Friday. So this is a big part of the story. is that conflict resolution is the most important thing you have to get right. The dynamic has to work. In my long-term relationship with a Brazilian, that was not the case. Bom dia, bom dia. Well, they say capixabas don't say bom dia. I got 2 recorded, 2. They were older people, so you know, they're highs. They are, and this is what I'm here for, buddy. Yeah. Her style was very, you know, Brazilian. Avoid the conflict. Let's just move on. Let's not talk about it. Nobody take ownership of the responsibility. And keep in mind, I was not aware of these dynamics as they were happening. And I kind of had to slowly figure them out. And I get it. Not all Brazilians are like that. I understand that, and it's very true. And there's a difference from North Brazil and South Brazil culture. You are 100% right. She had that style, and I was always trying to separate responsibility. Hey, I'm responsible for this side. Take responsibility for your side. Every time I would try to get her to take responsibility for her side, I saw her receive it as like something hateful, you know? Oh my God, you hate me, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's just like, why can't we just move on? It's not that big of a deal, da da da. And to me it was important because I knew if I were to just roll with it and just not separate responsibility, that I would become resentful. In the beginning, I tried her way, you know? I really did. And I became resentful. I became, honestly, like, at first I was really in love with her, and then after the conflict started happening, the resentment came in, and then on my side, because none of the conflicts were being resolved, I was having to take more responsibility, ownership of the problems that were happening. Beautiful day. My God, let's go. Woo. Because I had to take more ownership, I felt like I was entitled to do wrong things, honestly. And I was doing emotional cheating, you know, and yeah, it's just not good. Not good position to be in. But then eventually I couldn't handle the situation. I couldn't handle like the resentment, be like, this isn't making any sense. It seems like, coming from my perspective, she doesn't love me because she doesn't want to make it work, because she's not trying to resolve the conflicts. And in her perspective, I don't love her because I'm not letting go of the problem and just rolling with it all the time and saying it's not that big of a deal. Right? So there's that culture, you know, that culture collision, I should say. You know, we would have an amazing time. We like the same music. We go out. It would happen as frequently as once every 3 days. She has emotional problems, right? We would get into these crazy fights about nothing, about literally nothing. I would feel a little betrayed because she would ruin a whole night out over something really tiny, right? She was jealous and stuff. And so I would feel like, man, we can't even enjoy our time together. So why are we together? But when the good times are good, they're awesome, you know? And we were like the best of friends kind of thing. So we'd go through the good times, we'd have the conflicts, and then I would break up with her a lot, you know, because I felt like a lot of unjustified things happened. But then I'd end up missing her. And then the makeup arc, how we would make up, and oh my gosh, that was amazing, right? And then we'd have it was kind of like a cycle like that. Unfortunately, that would continue for too long. It would take me too long to understand our differences on the level that I do, where I could have made it work, but I can't now because it's just been too long. But anyways, at the end of the day, the moral of the story, my perspective, and I would love for you to leave your perspective, your stories down in the comments. I want to help you guys out. I swear I do. This is what I needed to hear, you know? A simple thing like this could have helped me a lot. If you do happen to be in an intercultural relationship, if you're making it work, how are you making it work? And be honest, is it actually working? Or is it just that phase of peacefulness where it's the calm before the storm kind of thing? So getting to the moral of the story, the last time I was with her, and I had the understandings that I do in the video, the cultural differences video. And I was actually living with her at the time, and we were making it work better than we ever have, you know? And we were making it work, you know? Finally, she was understanding. I was able to like explain it in a way that cut through all the BS. And she admired it, but the problems kept happening, and we had so many problems already that happened before. So it was too late, you know? It's unfortunate. I really gave it my all. I gave it a lot more than a lot of people would give it. It helped me grow into who I am today. It really challenged me. A lot of people wouldn't want to be challenged that much. Everyone's different. A lot of people would have just been like, yeah, screw her, look at all her problems and stuff. I get that now. I understand that now. But I think coming fresh into a relationship, understanding these little differences will help tremendously, you know? You could speed run through creating understanding between you guys. My tip to you guys gotta sit down and talk eventually, right? You run into the problem, you see these patterns, like she's trying to ignore the problem, you're trying to resolve the problem. You're gonna have to sit down and talk. You can't, because if you're a person with a conflict resolution style where, you know, you need to have that conflict resolved, you need that resolution, you cannot live with resentment in a healthy way. I don't think anyone can, honestly. I honestly think for actual dating, for marriage and everything, it is the superior way. We need to take ownership, responsibility, and be able to move on. And as I was kind of teaching her this, she was admiring it. She's like, wow, you just let it go after I take responsibility and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's all I wanted, right? And it's a big shock. They don't expect that, because a lot of the times in Brazil, a lot of this, if you take ownership of the responsibility, people can use it against you. What you say can and will be used against you. That is the style. It's unfortunate and it's sad, because it's just a cultural thing that I've noticed. Look at this guy, killing it. Bom dia. Stop, Andrew, stop. Be better, man, be better, fuck. Beautiful girl. I'm gonna make a video about that. You gotta have more self-control with, you know, with that style of energy, man, out here in Brazil, especially as a gringo. Fuck, I messed up. But, and when I say I messed up, you know, my energy got a little up, that's all. Saying good morning is not a problem. I do think it is superior to resolve your conflicts. And I have seen it work out a little bit when people just let the problem go, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's an interesting thing to see as an American when it works out the other way, where people just let go of these problems that in America people would never let go of. We would need to separate the responsibility. And obviously there's relationships like this in the United States. Hola, bom dia. It is super interesting to see these dynamics of just letting it go, work out. It feels like, wow, I can't believe they're still cool with each other in this moment. But then they go on and then they carry resentment and more things happen and it piles up and the relationship gets heavier and heavier. And that's no good for a long-term relationship. That's fine for superficial, 1 million superficial relationships and mixing in with one another. That's, if an American can integrate that aspect into like the more superficial dynamics, just meeting people out and about, then it helps a lot with their overall experience, you know? But for intimate relationships, it is so important for a Brazilian to pick up the side of, you know, taking responsibility and resolving the conflicts. So that's just my 2 cents, guys. If you guys have your own experience, if it's different, I'm not perfect. There are definitely things I missed, and that's what the comments are for, my friend. Leave a comment down below with your experience and your thoughts. If you like the content, hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. There's a lot more coming. If you have any video ideas, let me know. I got a lot of interesting ideas. I got a million ideas. I believe it's gonna be interesting. Never regret waking up early and taking a walk on this sidewalk. Yeah, just so much action going on. It's just so Brazilian. I love it.